Today I will be discussing community building, its importance, and examples within our society demonstrating why effective community building can either make or break a community. To set off the rest of the presentation, I would like to share a quote from Ms. Margaret J. Whitley, an American writer, teacher, and management consultant who works to create organizations and communities worthy of human habitation. She states, "There is no power for change greater than a community discovering what they care about." The reason I got into community building is due to when I first started in social work and wanted to help change the world. But then I realized that change is a lot harder than what I thought it would be. Community building is described by Angela Glover Black as being a continuous self-renewing effort by residents and professionals to engage in collective action aimed at solving problems and enrichment that creates new or strengthens social networks, the capacities for group action and support, and new standards and expectations for the life of the community. Community building also promotes strengthening communities holistically, so every aspect, civic responsibility, we're all in this together kind of mindset, collaboration on all parts, embracing diversity, allowing all to have a voice, no matter their background, and being willing to learn. As we previously discussed, community building is critical for change. Many policymakers have made empty promises to community issues. This broken trust perpetuates the stigma of policy and change makers. They are only there to help due to benefiting themselves and not the community members. Building up a community takes time to build rapport, takes time to understand the community is deeper than a surface level. If a policymaker puts in the effort to understand the community and works on building trust, then change is sure to follow. It only works when both sides are willing to cooperate. Material from class that had a profound impact on me would be the documentary OWN, The Tale of Two Americas. The IMDb summary of the doc depicts it as a fever dream vision of a darker history, racist beginnings, and commoditizations only for those worthy. It exposed stories of Americans who have lived two very different lives. This documentary, or those like it, should be a requirement for people in the helping profession to watch. Oftentimes, policymakers don't integrate themselves into the communities fully that they are required to help. Furthermore, ignorance is common among many individuals who view the rest of the country lives the same way they did, but is drastically different. To build up communities means taking off the blinders and accepting the hard truth. This documentary does that for you. And for me, it brought me back to when I had my own realization during the Flint, Michigan water crisis. Flint, Michigan is a crucial example of what not to do in attempting to create change and building up a community. Countless times, the people of Flint, Michigan have attempted to speak out about the issues, such as their tampered water supply, to the point where they were in a state of emergency. Also, high crime rates and an increased mistrust with the higher officials who were unwavering in lending a hand. They continue to scream for attention regarding the issue, yet no one is listening. As said by the former Michigan Treasurer Robert J. Klein, he states, "That said, what's happening in Flint cannot simply be blamed on a hard-hearted governor nickel and diming a poor city into a public health disaster. That will taint its reputation for years. This crisis was decades in the making. Michigan's combination of deindustrialization and lack of public support for cities created the conditions that allow Snyder, the former governor, poor decisions to have such a terrible outcome." He also states, This is not simply a matter of neglect, it's a matter of policy. And if you don't take policy seriously, you could have a Flint, Michigan issue. 10 years later, so it started in 2014, now 2024. The aftermath of Flint, Michigan has led to many of the residents wary of anyone claiming they're going to help. Instead, the people of Flint, Michigan have created their own efforts in creating action change. We see this distrust building due to the water crisis, plus low civic engagement. No one is voting for officials. And I believe that alone speaks volumes as to why the community building is so important. As of March 13, 2024, a federal judge has sided with the people of Flint, Michigan due to the administration's not keeping their promises to fix the water crisis by 2023, and the lawsuit that awarded the $626.25 million for compensation has yet to be distributed to the residents due to delays by the administration. So no one in this game is winning. In a recent survey, it states that there are still 275 reported water lines that have yet to even be serviced. Why should we care? So, community change has three different pillars to it: the foundation, in sync or not, and the larger issues. First, with the foundation, why we should care? Because communities are the foundation of our society. The people who live in it are the ones who create. Those who live in our communities, regardless of their socioeconomic status, deserve a life of happiness, health, and prosperity. And being able to provide that for all, we must be willing to build up the communities who need a little bit more help. In sync or not, communities that are in sync with each other promote an overall well-being and health. Issues surrounding communities ultimately are driving a wedge between the community members. And this, with overall well-being and health, completely diminishes it if there's constant conflict. This causes more issues than they started out with, and the issues could negatively affect other societies and communities. And that's why it's so critical for policymakers to not be blindsided and to address the issues in a quicker manner. And then larger issues. In tackling countrywide issues, we must start small. Although it may sound obvious, larger changes only happen when communities come together. As Martin Luther King Jr. once stated, "Let us rise up tonight with a greater readiness. Let us stand with a greater determination. And let us move on in these powerful days, these days of challenge, to make America what it ought to be. We have an opportunity to make America a better nation." And with community building, we can solve these bigger issues if we all come together as one. Thank you for listening, and I hope this inspired you to create some change today.